Hi, total recap here. Today we will be going through the events of the 2001 comedy romance movie Bubble Boy, directed by Blair Hayes. Warning, this video contains spoilers, so watch at your own risk. Now let's get right into the movie. An infant is born with a strange syndrome in California. He has no immunity at all, which means that the tiniest of the germs can kill him. If he is let out freely into the world, he would die of something as common as a cold. The boy's name is Jimmy Livingston, born to his overprotective nationalist mother, Mrs. Livingston. Jimmy has to be kept in complete isolation throughout his life for him to survive. From the day he was born, he has been inside a decontaminated bubble that protects him from germs. For the first 3 years of his life, Jimmy lived in a hospital, but at 4, his parents decided to bring him home to a secured plastic bubble system. The little boy is more than delighted to finally see the world outside of the hospital, but little does he know that he will be trapped inside for the rest of his life. The whole house has its own pathway of bubble tube just for Jimmy to walk around in, but his freedom is limited to the bubble system of his home. His room has a massive bubble with a pair of protruded hands that his parents can use to touch him, cut his hair, and so on. Jimmy grows up inside the bubble of his room, and his only teacher is his mother. Mrs. Livingston teaches Jimmy that going outside the bubble will kill him. She even makes up fake bedtime stories about princesses dying because they were let free. She feeds Jimmy with her nationalist agenda, teaching him that Christianity is the absolute religion and America is the greatest nation. He is only allowed to watch one channel on the TV and read only one magazine. Mrs. Livingston has made him believe that no other channels or magazines exist in the world. Jimmy, who hasn't talked to anyone other than his mother and father, cannot differentiate between the truths and lies of his mother. Her words are absolute rules of his house, and even his father doesn't object. Jimmy is famous as the bubble boy in the city. His only interaction with people outside is looking at them through windows. The neighbor kids wrap themselves in plastic and make fun of Jimmy outside of his window. Mrs. Livingston has to often chase them away. Jimmy is only allowed to eat homemade baked food, that too only after contaminated. A decontamination system is set inside a plastic tube that attaches to the plastic bubble in his room. Everything Jimmy touches or eats passes through the system before he can get them. Jimmy spends 12 years of his life like that and is now 16 years old. He still feels like any other normal person. He is not sad when he gets a guitar for his 16th birthday when other teens normally get cars. One day, Jimmy sees a car pull over at his neighbor. A beautiful girl his age named Chloe steps out of it. Jimmy stares at her in awe. He wants to speak to her but doesn't know how. Many days pass and Jimmy's infatuation with Chloe grows. He looks at her through his window almost every day. Mrs. Livingston starts to suspect Jimmy's intentions, so she recites to him a story about a boy who died because he touched the next door whore. Jimmy knows that he likes looking at Chloe through his windows but doesn't know why. He is unknown to the whole concept of love. One day, he wakes up with an erection and thinks he is sick. He doesn't know what to do, so he hits himself with a baseball bat and then cries in pain. Jimmy then calls his mother for help. Mrs. Livingston is surprised and awkwardly tells him to repeat the Pledge of Allegiance until it goes away. One day, Chloe comes home with a bunch of her friends who comment about Jimmy's disorder. They call him a bubble boy and make fun of him. Chloe defends Jimmy and calls them out for bullying. She too notices Jimmy watching her every day and has started to like him. One day, she knocks on the Livingston's door and is let into the house by a distracted Mr. Livingston. She notices the plastic tubes running around the house and follows them to Jimmy's room. She talks to a nervous Jimmy who cannot stop staring at her breasts. Chloe asks him if he can play guitar. Eventually, he starts teaching her to play guitar with the help of the protrudable hands. Their friendship gets stronger after that day. Chloe starts visiting him almost every day. They spend hours together talking and having fun. Mrs. Livingston is not fond of their friendship, but cannot do anything about it. On Jimmy's birthday, Chloe gives him a guinea pig inside a plastic ball just like him. One day on Chloe's birthday, she ditches the party at her house and climbs up to Jimmy's room through his windows. She is drunk and insists on getting inside the bubble with him. She says she cannot stay away from him anymore. But before she can go in, she passes out in the decontamination tube. In the following scene, we see Chloe on her prom night. She has gotten ready and has come to Jimmy's to show him her outfit. As they talk, Chloe's boyfriend Mark comes into the room. Jimmy is surprised and hurt to see her with someone else, but doesn't voice his distress. Some days later, Jimmy sees Mark and Chloe make out at Chloe's parking lot through his window. Mark asks Chloe to take their friendship further, but Chloe says she is saving herself for marriage. The very next day, Chloe rushes into Jimmy's room to show him her engagement ring. Mark has asked her to marry him, and she agreed. She informs him the wedding is this weekend at Niagara Falls. Jimmy doesn't know what to say, clearly hurt by that information. Chloe then tells him that she has brought him a gift and keeps it in the decontamination tube. However, Jimmy completely ignores her and doesn't even look at the gift. Instead, he hands her a guinea pig back and asks her to go away. Chloe is hurt and leaves with tears in her eyes. After she leaves, Jimmy stays in his room thinking for a long time. He finally decides to open the gift she had brought him. It is a snow globe with "I love you" written on it. Jimmy finally realizes that she was here to confess her love. He screams her name at the top of his voice, startling Mrs. Livingston. Jimmy has decided to go to Niagara Falls and stop the wedding at any cost. He works day and night to create a portable decontaminated bubble that he can walk around in. When it is finally done, he puts on the bubble and sets off to look for the love of his life. He sneaks out of the house without his parents knowing and runs around the block. For the first time in his life, Jimmy is free. Without wasting much time, he runs to the bus station, but doesn't have enough money to buy a ticket. Not knowing what to do, he tries crossing the road and is hit by a bus. Thankfully, his bubbleware saves him from getting hurt. The people from the bus offer to give him a ride to Niagara Falls. As they talk, Jimmy realizes that the people are part of a religious cult. He innocently points out the fact, but the people get offended and throw him off of the bus. Back at his home, Mrs. Livingston finally finds out that Jimmy is missing and starts to panic. The cult group stops at a deserted place and meets their leader. It is the day he announces the savior sent by God to protect them. The description given by the leader matches that of Jimmy's, hence the group now thinks that they should bring Jimmy back and open his bubble to set him free. Meanwhile, Jimmy is walking on a highway where he meets a biker named Slim. Jimmy tells Slim the reason for his trip, which impresses him. Slim in turn tells him of the love of his life named Wildfire, whose name he has tattooed on his body. Slim and Jimmy get on Slim's bike to go to Niagara Falls. Mrs. Livingston and her husband are actively trying to contact the police to start looking for their son. But when they do not get any help, they set out to look for Jimmy themselves. Slim and Jimmy reach Vegas, where Slim suggests they stop to have fun. They gamble in a casino for a long time, but Jimmy doesn't have much time before the wedding, so he leaves. He steals a scooter and runs away in it. But just then, Jimmy's parents find him. They are in a car and cannot get to Jimmy. As he tries to run away, Jimmy gets into an accident. His bubble prevents him from getting hurt and bounces him into a running train. Inside the train are talents from a freak show. The freaks' boss is a dwarf named Dr. Freak. He has captured the other freaks and uses them for his shows. Jimmy accidentally pushes Dr. Freak to the ground, giving the other freaks a chance to run away. Jimmy is having a hard time using the scooter, so he goes into a restaurant to ask for a ride. He sees some police officers bully an Indian man named Push Pop. Jimmy tells the officers that he has no immunity, but they wrongfully assume that Jimmy has a contagious disease. Chaos ensues, making everyone run away from the place. The restaurant catches fire in the process. Push Pop offers to give Jimmy a ride to Niagara Falls. Somewhere else, Mrs. Livingston reaches Dr. Freak, who tells her where Jimmy plans to go. Furious, she calls Chloe and yells at her for making Jimmy run away. The freaks outside steal Mrs. Livingston's car. As Push Pop and Jimmy drive to the waterfall, Push Pop accidentally hits a cow in the middle of the road. He quickly comes out of the vehicle and cries in vain, because in Hinduism, cows are a symbol of God. Push Pop thinks he has committed a sin, but Jimmy has been taught every religion except for Christianity is false. An angry Push Pop leaves Jimmy on his own. After some time, Jimmy somehow reaches New York at night. He asks an old man named Pippi for a ride. Jimmy wakes up the next morning to see the man still driving the car. When he tries waking Pippi up, he realizes that he is already dead. The car swerves and hits a billboard nearby. Jimmy doesn't get hurt and goes into the grocery store to call Chloe. Mark picks up the phone and tells Jimmy to give up because the wedding ceremony is in an hour. Jimmy figures that nothing he can do will help him get Chloe back. He calls his mother to come pick him up. The Livingstons finally find their son and put him inside the car. Mrs. Livingston goes out for a while and Jimmy gets a chance to have a heart-to-heart conversation with his dad. Mr. Livingston tells Jimmy to not give up before trying. Motivated by his father's words, Jimmy runs away from his mother to Niagara Falls again. Mrs. Livingston hurriedly follows him. At the same time, the cult group finds Jimmy and pursues him. Slim with his biker friends and Push Pop are there too. Amidst the chaos, Slim locks eyes with Mrs. Livingston. As it turns out, Mrs. Livingston is Slim's old love, Wildfire. All of them are driving on a plane's runway trying to get to Jimmy. A plane takes off and Jimmy gets on board with an old pilot who is Pippi's brother. They finally reach the waterfall, but the plane crashes, making Jimmy fall into the water. His bubble saves him this time too. Chloe and Mark are about to say their vows when Jimmy enters the church. He claims his love for Chloe and tears his bubble open to kiss her. Right after they kiss, he falls unconscious. As Chloe tries to wake him up, Mr. and Mrs. Livingston arrive there. Mr. Livingston asks his wife to tell everyone the truth. Mrs. Livingston then reveals that Jimmy doesn't have an immunity condition. She had made up the whole disease to keep him near her and protect him from the world. Jimmy opens his eyes and is beyond surprised to hear the truth. However, he forgives his mother. He finally hugs Chloe and everyone claps. It is now a few months later. Chloe and Jimmy are celebrating their wedding. Everyone he met during his journey is at the ceremony. Mr. Livingston, Mrs. Livingston, and Slim have turned into a wild throuple. The movie ends as Jimmy and Chloe drive away to their honeymoon. And that was my recap of the movie. I hope you enjoyed it. Now comment on what your favorite part was, and make sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, take care and goodbye.